Hi there, my name's North and welcome to my channel. Now in the last video I unboxed this Sir Nigel Gresley commemorative A3 Pacific for Dowsey. I wanted to change the model over to DCC and I wanted to put sound in it as well. So I got myself a Hornby DCC TTS sound chip and let's see what we can do about popping it in here then. So here we are. And we've got my precious little new engine lying on its side on a quadrupled up cloth. So first things first is I know that the digital sound decoder is going to fit into the tender. So for that, what I'm going to do is remove the tender from the Locomotive so I'm not having to keep turning all of them over and messing about. And the way you do that, I'm very going to gently roll this over. You can see that the wheels have pickups and are fed to the loco like that. This is a loco driven model, and we have two screws there with the drawbar. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my arm in the way. So the first thing I'm going to do is to take out this little plug very gently. Because I'm really rubbish at grabbing plugs. There we go. So there's the plug taken out. Very gently gripping with some of the grips there, and now I'm going to take my screwdriver and I'm going to disconnect this bit of the drawbar. So hold everything very still. I hope you can all see this. Trying to get my hand out of the way so you can see that obviously we'll take that screw and we'll put that somewhere nice and safe out the way. So now we've separated the Locomotive from its tender, so I'm going to pick that up gently and pop that just out of the way on some tracks where it's nice and happy. So here is the tender. So the thing that I have to do is actually have to get this off its running thing, and we have here, I don't know whether you can see that, a little tab that it fits in. Now what I do know is that if I lift this very gently, this is going to have to be a really, because this is really tight, and I'm going to have to pop that screwdriver in there just to push that in a bit, just so that it clicks out. You've got to be really careful because you are bending somewhat the plastic and it's really scary, but there we go. Now it's very tight to the inside piece, and I can feel it sort of pulling against it. So I'm actually pulling the outside. This is the inside and this is the outside. I'm actually pulling the outside off this piece as well. This piece is attached to the chassis, so I'm actually pushing against this and pulling this very gently, making sure that it's not, it's horrible sound, but very gently, bit by bit. This bit has lifted off, so that bit can get pushed. So lifting that from the outside and pushing that in a piece, we will get to eventually. There we go. Now you've really got to be careful with, that's it. Now as it lifted off, really got to be careful with these two because they're very small pieces of plastic. So that's the body. I'm going to pop that over there. This is the bit of coal, the coal insert, which you can have empty. You don't have to have the coal insert in. I think you'll agree it's actually quite good as a coal insert, but some people don't like that, so you can have it empty, put your own coal in. It does actually go down into the hopper itself. So the next bit is to lift that and move it out of the way, and there you will see a blanking plug. Now you'll also see there's a little arrow there for a pin 1, so that probably will come in important. I'm now going to open this, having never opened it before. I don't know what's inside here. There'll be some information, and I dare say I will have to read it. So there's the decoder, that's the speaker. I'm not quite sure where that's going to fit yet, but I could probably fit it under there somewhere. We'll see. Not sure it'll go underneath the, no, it won't go underneath the coal, so it'll have to fit somewhere probably around here. We'll see if they actually say anything in the instructions. So you get the instructions with it, and you also get a sound decoder manual, so I'm sure all of you that have got TTS will be well aware of that. So after reading these important guide notes, it says that the Hornby high detailed steam locomotives. It said these locomotives are generally equipped with a loco tender wiring harness and will usually accommodate a TTS decoder without any modification. However, in some cases the tender weight may need to be modified in order to fit the speaker. So we'll have a look, shall we? So here's the speaker. There seems to be a little frame there, and also it's in an enclosure. And I know some people take them out of the enclosure, but I'd really rather like to keep it in, simply because the enclosures on speakers tend to make the speakers work a little bit better. Now, I'm probably not supposed to touch any of this, but I don't see how I can do it without. So the first things you've got to do is apparently cover this in sellotape. This is what this advises. It says that the sellotape allows for a nice thin surface, a thin barrier, sorry, without using and allows heat dissipation without using the more heavier insulation tape. So what I'm going to do is get some sellotape. So after searching through the house, I realised that having a 7-year-old son who finds that sellotape is an amazing piece of stuff that can stick almost any of his drawings to anywhere, realises that I've run out of tape. So I do have some heat shrink, and I will attempt, and I'm not sure that will go in, I will attempt to put that in. I'm going to cut that off to size actually first, and just pop that over the top of it. I'm not going to heat shrink it on because there's no need, and if I do need to get to it afterwards then I still can, but that should protect it anyway. So back in a minute when I've cut that off. So here we are. I actually have my own pair of scissors because I know full well that with the sellotape going missing, so do the scissors. So let's now just have a little look at getting that through there. There we go, nice and easy. And I probably shouldn't be touching this, but I'm just going to see now that that is probably not big enough to go over there. I was hoping so. Yeah, there it is, and we're just going to slide it over. Okay, so hopefully there should be enough heat dissipation in there. Now there has to be a pin 1, and I'm not exactly sure where that is, so I'm going to have a look at through this through my little lenses which I have here, which make me look completely silly, but I will be able to find that oops, sorry, pin number 1. Hopefully. There it is. So if you have a look, I don't know whether I'm in shot here, so just by my finger there, oh, let's see if we can get that in focus. There is a number 1 in the corner by my little finger, this one here. Yes, and that will be pin 1, which seems to have a what colour have we got on it? Just see, because it's not that clear. That just seems to not have a colour on it at all, actually. Oh, it does. It's the orange wire. Oh no, it's pink. Sorry, it's pink. It's the pink, orange. I don't know. No idea what colour that is. So, with relation to that being 1 and that being 1, what we should be able to do is just pull out very gently with a slight little wiggling motion. Nothing too hard though. Be gentle with these things. Pop that out, and I'm hoping to pop this in. Make sure when you do pop this in that all your pins are lined up, because pins are very easy to bend. I do know this because I have done some electronics in the past, electronic assembly. So with a little push, even push both sides, pop it in, and that should be in there. Now for the wiring harness and where to put this and where to put this. Right, well, it's fairly interesting, but as long as it's in there. Now I know that would be ideal if it was screwed down, and indeed if you had the space to screw it to something, I don't know, it won't fit on the underneath of the coal, and it wouldn't, I don't think it would fit in anyway. It's just not quite big enough, the coal plate. So I'm hoping, depending on, right, that's not going to work, is it, if it's there? So the speaker needs to go somewhere near the back. I believe that may work. It will, but I'll have to turn that around to suit that way. Yeah, I can see why they actually said that the tender weight may need to be altered for that. So I'm going to have a little look at that and see exactly how I can fit that, and I'll come back to you. Right, so having a look at the whole thing, I've found out that I won't be able to use the enclosure. Usually the enclosures make speakers sound better, but it just is a little bit too thick to fit in. So what I propose to do is, having taken the speaker out of the enclosure, it just literally bend one of these slightly, and it'll just, as you can see, moves there. It'll just pop out. You can, if you want, very gently, you have to watch the wiring, very gently just pop one of them in just to give it a bit of a hand, but sort of bend this out so that it can pop out from the edge. However, looking at it, it does fit with a bit of a push into here. Now obviously we're going to have to make a slight change somewhere here where the wiring's going to have to nip in and nip over, maybe not, because of the width of it, it doesn't actually fit in perfectly anyway. But if you're bothered about coal and perfect fit, now I'm going to have to do something like that, because obviously the sides of this are going to come down quite tight against that, and plus the fact this is a solid piece of plastic, which means you will hear it but you won't hear it properly. So this can be used, this part here can be used as the chamber for the speaker, so it shouldn't make too much difference to the sound. But this needs to be a speaker grill. So what I propose to do is to use a very, very, very tiny drill bit and pick my places inside the coal, which looks lovely, and drill some holes at different angles to allow the sound out, but so that it doesn't ruin the look of the coal in the back. So I'll just go ahead, get my little drill, and which is a little hand drill. I'll show you what it is, and then I'll proceed to do that. Right, as you can see, I've already put a hole in there. Well, you can't see it, can you? But that's the point. It uses a very small drill, and you put a small hole at different angles. So there is a hole. I'll show you, it is just there. Don't know whether you can see that. See the little burr on the back there? There is a hole there, but you can't see it. Plenty of holes in that without seeing them, with a, I believe it's a 0.75 drill. Where am I? Wrong place. Tiny small drill. An Archimedes drill bit, which basically works like that. So as you press down, then you just, and you can see the chuck turning. Very easy, very nice to do to use on plastic like this, where you don't want to damage anything. It's not going to punch through too quick. So again, just picking the areas where the sound's going to come out, and locking it into a hole somewhere, and very gently then it goes backwards and forwards. It doesn't keep continually going round, but it's enough with these drills to cut through the plastic gently, because there it is, because plastic doesn't want to be drilled very quick anyway, because it tends to melt. But as you can see, you can't really see that from any kind of angle. It just doesn't show, so you're not going to know that there's holes there, but the holes will allow the sound to come out, and it'll be slightly louder, so, or clearer. There we go, another hole done, and not be able to see it at all. You can basically put in as many holes as you like, I would imagine, wherever you want to. I'm trying to sort of fit this this drill bit into sort of natural grooves within the coal itself, and just keep doing it till we've got a speaker grill. Do them at different angles as well, because you'll never see them from one angle. You'll never see all of them from one angle. So I'm going to carry on doing this until I've got a speaker grill, and I'll come back to you. So as you can see, with the fitted onto the tender, you can't actually see the holes that I'm hopefully going to try and show you. You can just see my hand moving around behind them. Look. So there are quite a few holes in there that make up, that's better, that make up a speaker grill. So it'll allow the sound out, but it won't impact on the look of the coal, because you just, unless you're really looking, you can't see it. And with it being on a black background, like it will be, and covered by some much more interesting to look at bits of livery, etc., and the tender, you won't really be noticing any holes. You'll be much more taking much more notice of the actual train itself and the sound. So I'm going to move on now to try and remove a little bit of one of the sides here. I've yet to figure out where I'm going to do that, just so that I can place the decoder underneath. The decoder will sit underneath here, hopefully that way round, and then the wires will have to come up, and we're just going to have to do a nick in the side here somewhere to allow the wires to come in. And the simple reason I'm going to have to do that is because this fits really flush against, as you heard when I tried to get it off, that fits really flush at the side. So I'm just going to have to remove a little bit just so that I can get the wires to fall in nicely. Again, you're not going to see it because this is going to be in there, and I wish I could have done it so that I could just take a little bit out of here and let them go through, but it's because it has to come up the side. I'm going to have to remove a little bit of that. So I'm going to get on with that and show you what I've done, show you how I did it, and then we'll come back. So having done that, what I've done, I'm not sure whether you can see, is I've cut out a little notch just there. Don't know whether you can. So that was a bit sad. I've just literally put this on. I didn't realise my my camera had gone off. So literally I've just slid this down. I've cut a little notch in to the side for the wires, and the TTS speaker now sits on there, which will be covered up by this. You have to be careful when you're popping this back on, because you have to, there's a couple little lugs at the back there that you have to put the back on first. You have to sort of tilt the back on first, and then as you bring this down, you've got to bring these forward slightly. They are very delicate, so bring them forward slightly, and then the whole thing drops back in. Make sure you push that little tab in, and then you push this down just behind these two tabs here and here. This should be fully TTS. So what we're going to do is I'm going to slot in the coal, which is its speaker thing. So there you have it. I'm going to attach this back onto my Loco, plug the plug back in, and then we shall see if it actually works. So I'm just going to take this drawbar there, as you see, and the screw that we took out, it's a flat head screw, and I'm just going to pop that in there, and very gently, if I can get it right. You guys probably can't see this. It's very difficult to get camera angles on this kind of stuff. So hold it still, and we've just got that. I'm not going to do it up too tightly, obviously. There it's starting to get tight, so I'm just going to nip it up a little bit. Don't want to be too harsh with those things. And then this little plug here, I'm just going to grip this on the side with my electrical pliers and just literally plug that in. So just make sure that's nice and straight. When you plug that in, give it a push. Oops. You can push it with your finger, you should be able to, and it should just plug in like that. Excellent. Right, probably should have wrapped that wire around that thing actually. In fact, I'll probably go and do that now. Well, we've got some success, because on the select controller, which is the first time I've used, we have some movement. So that's good. Just bring it into try and bring it into shot for you, and stop it. Very smooth stopping. So now I know it actually works and it goes in the direction I want it to. I'm going to check out how to do the sounds.